It's Jets Weekly with your host, Connor Hrabchak.
Hello everyone and welcome into another edition of Winnipeg Jets Weekly. My name is Connor Hrabchak. On today's episode, we've got 3 games to talk about. The Jets bounced back against the Panthers, went into Pittsburgh to begin their road trip and beat the Penguins, and then dropped Saturday night's contest to the Nashville Predators. I'm going to break it all down along with handing out my hardest working Jet and my 3 stars of the week. Let's get right into it, starting with that Tuesday night win over the Florida Panthers. The Jets needed a big bounce-back game on Tuesday night, and they did just that with a 6-3 win over the Florida Panthers. Everyone remembers the 5-0 loss on the Saturday night, so this was a really good get-right game for the Winnipeg Jets, welcoming the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, to town and being up to the task. As you can see by the stats behind me here, this was one of the best games that the Jets played all season long. They outshot the Panthers 27-23, only 23 shots against for one of the best forward cores in the NHL. That is a strong performance. 3.73 expected goals to 3.24 in favor of the Jets. The shot attempts 66-59 for Winnipeg, and the special teams battle, they actually lost slightly in this game, going 1 for 4 on the power play, and Florida's power play going 2 for 4. It's no secret that the whole team struggled on Saturday in the 5-0 loss, but maybe no grouping more than that top line of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabe Vilardi, and that line responded in a big way as Mark Scheifele recorded his 9th career hat trick in this game. He fought late in the Saturday game. He was clearly frustrated, clearly wanted a bounce-back effort against one of the best teams in the NHL, and he did just that with 3 goals. Kyle Connor scoring a goal in this one as well. It was a great performance from that line, and Mark Scheifele, with this performance, boosted his stock around the NHL, made headlines as a potential player for Team Canada at the upcoming Four Nations Face-Off tournament. Those rosters are going to be named December 4th, and we'll find out whether or not Mark Scheifele made it to Team Canada. He's done all that he can so far this season. He's having an incredible season on the best team in the NHL, and with performances like this, a hat trick against the Florida Panthers, he's doing nothing but boosting his stock and potential to be on that team. Another quick note on this game, Morgan Barron scored his first and second goals of the season, both empty net goals, both shorthanded. The first one he banked in off the boards, kind of a full ice bank shot, but nice to see Morgan Barron get rewarded with his first and second goals of the year. And it was a sold-out crowd inside Canada Life Center, and a good chunk of those fans were WSTers, as it was the second game of our Winnipeg Sports Talk Game of the Month pack. Thank you everyone for all the support and the attendance at these games. It was so awesome seeing everyone there. I wasn't able to make it, but I saw some photos online, Huss, Remo, and Liz hanging out with you WSTers. I hope everyone had a great time, and we'll see you for the next game Saturday, December 21st, as the Winnipeg Jets welcome in one of their biggest rivals to town, the Minnesota Wild. Can't wait to see everyone there. The Jets then hit the road for a 6-game road trip and started it off on the right foot with a 4-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The dominant storyline of this game is that Kyle Connor recorded his first career fight. Yes, that really did happen. He threw a reverse hit on Sidney Crosby. The third period had just started. Pittsburgh was losing badly at the time, didn't really have a spark. Crosby, trying to light a fire under his team, really didn't like the hit, took exception to it, and the two dropped the gloves. Kyle Connor and Sidney Crosby, one of the most unlikely fight combinations of the season, but it happened. It was a very quick fight, but Kyle Connor then later scored an empty net goal, giving him a Gordie Howe hat trick. A really incredible game for Kyle Connor. Safe to say that nobody expected that, but what we did expect was that the Jets were going to dominate this game, and they did, winning 4-1, the shots 30-18 in their favor. The expected goals heavily tilted in Winnipeg's favor, 4.47 to just 1.88 for the Penguins. The shot attempts 61-51 in the Jets' favor, and the power play struck again. Gabriel Vilardi, as that unit went 1 for 3. Connor Hellebuyck, with these 2 games against Florida and Pittsburgh, wasn't asked to do too much. Only 23 shots against Florida and 18 on this night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Eric Comrie got the start Saturday night, and I'll get into that game in a second, but the Jets starting their 6-game road trip off on the right foot with a big win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that brings us to the second game of a back-to-back where the Winnipeg Jets simply didn't have their legs in this game, losing 4-1 to the Nashville Predators. And I get it. It's the first place NHL team against the 32nd team. Any loss like that looks bad. But in my opinion, Nashville's not a typical 32nd place team. They spent all that money in free agency in the offseason. They had lost 5 straight games coming in. They were desperate. They even had a fight in practice the other day. They were a team that needed this win, and they played like a desperate bunch. And the Jets, second night of a back-to-back, they look exhausted. And the stats reflected that as well. Nashville dominated the shots and the shot attempts. 63-47 was the Corsi. And the Jets' power play, a rare off night as they went 0 for 3, and Nashville's power play got on the board going 1 for 3. But to make matters worse in this game, the Winnipeg Jets lost their top 4 standout defenseman, Dylan Samberg, as he blocked a one-time shot off of his left foot. And Scott Arniel revealed after the game that Samberg has a broken foot and he's going to be traveling back to Winnipeg to be further evaluated. Devastating news for the 25-year-old defenseman who is having a strong season on that second pair alongside Neil Pionk. Here's what Scott Arniel had to say after the game.
You start with Dylan Samberg. Can you tell us anything yet, or too early?
Yeah, he's got a broken foot, so it's not good. So we're going to send him home tomorrow. When we get to Minnie, and then we'll get a look at when he gets home.
We're used to seeing him block so many shots and just get up. Did you have a sense that one might have been a little more of an issue?
Well, I mean, he stayed and he got up and kind of tried to finish the kill and then got himself off, but I've seen him go down before. He does that a lot. Obviously, blocks an awful lot of shots, and actually, he's got the shot blockers on the side. I think this one hit him on the top of the laces. So, he's a warrior, and that's a big hole for us.
So there it is, Scott Arniel delivering the bad news on Dylan Samberg, and with this news, the Jets will now have to fill that void in their top 4 on the blue line. One player that could potentially help with that is Ville Heinola. He had ankle surgery before the season and hadn't been healthy until the last 2 games where he completed a conditioning stint with the Manitoba Moose down in the AHL. He was recalled Sunday to join the Winnipeg Jets on Monday in Minneapolis, so he could be a player maybe in the top 4, maybe on the bottom pair. He's a young left-handed defenseman nonetheless. He will be counted on going forward here to play a role, so let's see what Ville Heinola can do with this opportunity. Now it's time to hand out the awards, the hardest working Jet, and the 3 stars of the week. But before we do that, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you've hit the like button down below, hit that subscribe and the notification bell. We've got tons of content coming out weekly on the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel, so don't miss it. Hit that notification bell. As for this video, let's get into it, the hardest working Jet of the week.
The hardest working Jet.
My hardest working Jet of the week is Morgan Barron, and I know that this award is not meant to be a stats-based award, and Barron got the 2 goals this week, but he gets this award because the 4th line has easily been one of the hardest working lines for the Jets this past week. Scott Arniel has counted on them time and time again, and they keep grinding opponents down, playing that cycle possession game that he wants to see them playing. Arniel was actually asked about the value that Barron brings to the Jets. Here's what he had to say.
I mean, he's the first guy over the boards on the penalty kill with Lau, and that's a big responsibility. You're obviously facing the number 1 power play on the opposition all the time, and he's taken on that role. There's tonight where there's lots of situations where I threw him against a Hrabchak line, and they got the zone time. That was one line for us in that first period that we were having a little bit of trouble with. They were a handful, Bennett and Verhaeghe and Hrabchak. That was a heavy line for us, and those guys I thought in the second period had some great shifts against them. And Bears, those guys, they do a lot of the right things, and they're kind of, I don't want to insult them. They're the cheaper version of Lau's line. They do a lot of that grunt work and the penalty killing and all the heavy lifting.
And now, the Jets Weekly 3 stars of the week.
Now it's time for the 3 stars of the week, and I don't think this guy has gone a single week without being one of the top 3 stars. It's Kyle Connor. He filled the net once again this week, twice, once in the Florida game and the empty net goal in the Pittsburgh game. He also added on 2 assists, and I mentioned earlier that top line got embarrassed on Saturday in Florida. They had a really strong bounce back game on Tuesday night. Kyle Connor was a big reason for that. He's my 3rd star of the week. My 2nd star of the week is Josh Morrissey. He had 3 assists this week, and he has put together a really strong 21-game start to the season, only 2 goals, but 18 assists and 20 points in the 21 games. He's got a plus minus of +6, and he has been listed all season long as a lock for Team Canada. I mentioned earlier that Mark Scheifele could potentially be on that team. Josh Morrissey will almost certainly be on that team. He also ended up playing over 28 minutes the night that Dylan Samberg got hurt. He's being asked to do everything for this Winnipeg Jets defense core, and his responsibilities going forward are only going to grow with the injury to Samberg. He's my second star of the week. My first star of the week is Mark Scheifele. He had the hat trick on Tuesday night against the Florida Panthers, followed it up with a strong game Friday night against the Penguins, and then the top line really struggled on Saturday against the Preds, but so did most of the Jets, and the top line will look to bounce back on Monday against the Wild. But Scheifele, for the 2 performances this week where he was easily one of the Jets' best players, he's my first star of the week. Here's the upcoming schedule for the Winnipeg Jets, and it doesn't get any easier going forward as they are now going to travel to Minnesota to take on the Wild Monday night. The Jets, the best team in the NHL, the Minnesota Wild are second. So the Central Division is always a tough division to play in, but the Minnesota Wild weren't a player in the division last year. They look to be a player in the division this year, and they have gotten off to an incredible start. So that should be a great game Monday night, November 25th. Then the Jets will travel to LA to take on the Kings. Friday night, they'll travel to Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. And then Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, they're going to take on the Dallas Stars once again. They picked up a big win against the Stars on that Super Sports Saturday a few weeks ago. They'll look to replicate that again. And without Dylan Samberg, this is going to be a really tough stretch of games for the Jets defense core and potentially Ville Heinola, who we might see make his season debut this week. That's going to do it for this edition of Winnipeg Jets Weekly. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button down below, hit that subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss this exact video every single Monday morning, breaking down the week that was for the Winnipeg Jets and previewing the upcoming week. We're going to have a jam-packed episode next week as I break down all 4 games remaining in the Jets' 6-game road trip. Enjoy the games this week, everyone, and I will see you next Monday right here on Winnipeg Jets Weekly.